Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the Happy Popsicle. I think it turned out super cute, adorable if you will. I gave it a little edge so it looks like it's kind of dripping down. It's kind of more my favorite look for the kawaii popsicles. There are the ones that are straight across. And I will say that doing the ruffle on this, it is a little bit more difficult, and I probably will put out another version that has kind of the straighter look to it, just because I don't want anybody to get discouraged when they get to this point, because it is a little tough and a little more time consuming, but hopefully you'll be able to make either one you want or both. But I think it's super cute. But I just wanted to warn you about this part right here so you don't get all the way down there and go, oh, what are we doing? This is kind of hard. But I think it's adorable. We're going to make this band-wise. It's 200 for this top portion, including the ruffle part, and then this little part down here is 80. And then I just used 13 for the little popsicle stick. You can make it longer or shorter depending on how, I don't know about shorter, but longer if you want, that's up to you. And then you'll need either bands for the eyes, or I use 4x7mm pony beads, or you can use the larger ones too. I think on this design it would work fine too, the regular 9mm ones. Then bands for your cheeks, and then your mouth. His mouth isn't very smiley. Smile. So, we'll get started. I'll show you how to do the eyes and cheeks first. And it'll be, if you're going to use beads, you're going to want to find a piece of wire, string, thread, floss, or anything like that that you can get into a V shape. So you can take two of your bands, and then it'd be the top color bands, put them into the center, close it up, and then thread your bead into or onto the bands like that. So you'd make two of those if you're going to do the beaded ones. The larger pony beads, you should just be able to push them through the center. And then if you don't have any beads, you can use a band for an eye. You just take whatever color you want for your eye, put it on your hook, wrap it around once into a figure 8, then grab both bands, wrap it around again, and then pull through two bands the color of the top portion of your popsicle. So like that. So you make two of those if you're going to do the wrapped eye bands for the eyes. And then the cheeks are made the same way as the eyes. It's just one band, whatever color you want the cheeks to be, on the hook, wrap it around one time to the figure 8, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through two bands the top color of your popsicle. And you'd make two of these as well for the cheeks. So, and of course it's on one loom. I used the wrong end of the loom towards me. And what we're going to start with first is laying down the bands for the ruffle. And that is going to be on basically 10 pins, or, well, 8 pins. I'm kind of cheap. We're going to start by taking two bands, and kind of in the middle portion here. We don't get any larger than this right here, so wherever you want to start, but two bands, stretch it across, and cross them. Then we'll go up 4, do the same thing, put the band on, and cross it. Everything in this is double banded unless I say differently too, so just keep going. And once you get up to there, cross back to the other side, and then come back towards the beginning. So you have a cross row all the way around, and then you're going to take two bands and go right over the top of what you just did, just normal. These are the pastel bands from Rainbow Loom. I'm pretty sure it's actually 2 shades of pink, but they are way too close for me to sort, so we just kind of mixed them all together. So like that. And now for looping this, normally we loop from the outside in. This time we're going to loop from the inside to the outside. So you go in, grab your bands, and pull them to the outside. And you'll do that all the way around. In some spots it's a little trickier than others. Just grab one band at a time if you need to. So it'll look like this on the side with a big ruffle. On the inside there'll be 4 bands. So you can push that down, and now what I would have you do is, although I didn't do it initially when I started mine, I think that this will make it much easier. Because we loom right on top of this eventually, it gets a little tough to see or differentiate between our ruffle bands and what we're working on here. So what I'm going to do is just take random bands, doesn't matter what color they are because they're going to come off. I'm just going to take a band, pull it up through, and do a slip knot. Then I'll kind of pull it towards the outside or kind of towards the side of the pin and pull it down. If you have a rainbow loom, you can just take it and bring it around the bottom. So that'll help that when you're going in here to pull bands up to pull over the pins later, you won't be able to, or it'll be a little bit easier to tell between what's the top and what's the bottom, because I looped quite a few of the ruffles. You don't have to do this, of course, but I think that it will be helpful. So I'll get that real quick. Just pulling a band up through, making a slip knot, and pulling it under. If you don't have the rainbow loom, that's fine. You can just do the same thing, just leave them loose. You'll be able to tell the difference. Obviously you want to pick a color too that isn't what you're working on. Make sure they're pushed down as far as they can go. I really don't like putting on things first that we have to loom around for quite some time, but because of how the ruffle goes on, this really is the best way. It would be much more complicated if I waited, so. Last one. Again, make sure those are all pushed down as far as they can go, like that. So now, what we want to do is we're going to start working from the top down. So we have our kind of 2 end pins, and then there's these 3 in the center. We're going to do X's across the center. So again, it's 2 bands unless I say differently, but pretty sure it's all double banded. So I'm going to start on one side on that second pin up from our ruffle design here, cross it over to the 3rd pin on the right, and then second pin on the right to the third pin on the left, and then just do another X right above that, starting on that third pin to the fourth pin, and then third pin on the right to the fourth pin. So like that. And then 2 bands. We'll put end caps or cap bands. I was doing so well training myself not to say that. Cap bands on these 2 pins with 2 bands just wrapped around one time. Like that. So now what to do is the band that's underneath for your X, you're going to go to that cap band first, go in through, grab those 2 bands, pull them up through, and then pull them back towards themselves all the way across the loom. And then do the same thing on the other side. And then again, bottom band first, or bottom band side first. And then over, other side. So like that. Now we're going to do a row around just this little center 6 pins. So it's 2 bands. All the way around. Like that. So now you come to the side, and we're not going to do anything with the ruffle row for quite some time, so we're always looking for what would be technically the bottom 4 for what we're working on, but we're going to flip over those. So it'll either be the middle 4 or the bottom 4, depending on how you look at it. This row is a little tough to flip over. I always end up popping some bands off the top, so I try to hang on to them as I flip. Like that. There should be 4 bands left up on the top. Push those down. Now what we're going to do is increase. So we're going to increase these 2 corners here. So on this one up here, as long as you're laying the bands the same way I do, you should just be able to pick up the top band, the top 2 bands I should say, and just pull them up to this corner. Then on this opposite corner, we actually need to pick up all 4 bands, take them off the pin, bring them down, then grab the top 2 bands and bring them back to where they were. Just don't want any crossing of the bands right here. Like these bands that are on this far pin, they come around to here. They don't cross over. So now we're going to do another row around on this little portion on the inside of our ruffle. So I shouldn't call it a ruffle, it's the drippy marks. The thing I stare at, just waiting for it to fall off my kids' popsicles when they're having them. Or we go, look at that, please, it's gonna drip all over. Like that. And again, depending on where it is, in this corner it's going to be 4 to go over the top, 4 in the next one. And there's a whole lot of room in there, so make sure you get all 4. And then on these 2 down here, it'll be 2 bands. And on this side, it'll be 4. And then 4 again right here. And then 2 and 2. Let's pop these off towards the center. So you should still have 4 bands on all your pins. push those down. Then we're going to increase these corners now. For both of these, we need to pick up all 4 bands, take them up to the far corner, then grab the top 2 bands and bring them back. And then on this one, same thing, pick up all 4 bands, bring them down, and then grab the top 2 and bring them back to the pin that they were on. Like that. Now again, we'll do a row, this time around the entire thing. So 2 bands all the way around. These are one of the things we had to give up to avoid having so many dyes in our house. So you have to make them fresh. The kids definitely are not as thrilled about not having the ultra sugary popsicles, but so like that. And again, up here in this corner it's going to be 2 bands. Same 2 bands here, and 4 on the rest on this side. I still like the fruit ones, but it's definitely not the same. I'm sure I'd probably think the same way if I was a kid still, not knowing the reason. And then on this side, it'll be 2 bands on these bottom 2 pins, and then 4 bands up on the rest. Like, we're not some crazy, like, super health food junkie people, I guess, or but definitely we try and maintain good things, but it really seems to have made a difference for my son, one of my sons, that we have eliminated the processed foods. So like that. 4 bands left on all the pins up top. Then we're going to do another row just like that all the way around. So push these down. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still have a few cheat days, I guess, with what we have, or if we go somewhere. It's pretty hard to be like, I need to know what's in everything that you're serving me. Of course, going to grandparents' house, that's like glorious wonderland. Sweet treats and everything. So like that. And then again, this time it'll be the middle 4 or bottom 4, however you look at it, all the way around. But I suppose that's the way it should be. I'll probably do the same thing to my kids if they have children when they get older. Like that. Push them down. Next row is going to be our eye row. And you get your cheeks ready too. So there'll be 2 bands. We'll start down here. And 2 bands right here. And our eyes will go here in the next 2 spots. Yikes. Almost pulled it out. And then 2 bands all the way around the rest. that. And flip over the middle or bottom 4 all the way around. It's kind of funny because when we went on vacation this summer, like we went to a place that kind of several different theme park areas, and every time we go to one, it's like the kids are more excited about seeing what there is for food and what all they can eat with the different junk food and stuff like that. And they're like, rides? We don't want to go on any rides. We just want some churros or... Ugh. In our area, although we didn't go there this year, just with times not agreeing with us, but one of the big fairs in the state over, like, they're kind of famous for frying everything you can think of. So like that. Next row is going to be our cheek row. So it'll be the same as the eye row, and then we'll just do the cheeks right here instead. So 2 bands. And the first 2 spots on our cheeks. And then 2 bands all the way around the rest. I don't know if this is other places too. I'm sure it probably is, but the fair will, it's like, they fry butter. Like, fried butter. I mean, why? I still don't understand that one. I guess maybe it probably is delicious, but I have not, because a lot of people seem to like it, but I definitely have not tried it. So like that, and flip over the bottom 4 all the way around. Or the fried Oreos, or fried Twinkies. A lot of things that I'm just kind of like, you know, we don't have to fry everything. That's probably why some of our area, we're known for being a little bit heavier because of that. We aren't quite... We have the winter time where it's harder to get out and to actually do things, so you kind of get sedentary and sit around, and then during the summer we have all these festivals and fairs where we're eating fried butter of all things, so it's no wonder. So push those down. I'm going to loosen these up a little bit too. Just pull the bands over the pins. It won't really pop up a whole lot, but a little bit. Now we want to put the mouth on, so whatever color you want the mouth to be, you'll put it on your hook, wrap it around 1 time, and then right here in the front you're going to pick up the top 4 bands that are on this pin, not the ruffle stuff, or the drippy part. Pull those up, slide down your mouth band, and then put the bands back onto the pin. So it looks like that. So now we're going to do another row around with just 2 bands. Like my husband, he travels for work sometimes, and he had to go to Dallas for, I think that was for a conference, but it was like, it's like everyone here is like so skinny and like, it's really weird. Like people are like all put together and, you know, thin and or muscular, and he's like, this is just like, it's very weird. Not just like in my own area, of course, but so then all the way around we did, and then the same thing, flip that middle 4 or bottom 4, however you look at it. Because our area we like to eat, so I just thought it was funny that he was so like amazed at how, he said it was like just so different. I was like, well, it can't be that different. He's like, it is. It's weird. Like that. Alright, so push your bands down. So now, this is where it might get a little tough. So try and bear with me and we'll do the best that we can here. So what we do is we're going to alternate putting up the ruffle or the drippy row all the way around. I can't get ruffle out of my head because that's what it reminds me of. So we're going to start, and we don't want to put one up in front of the face first. So if you move back a pin, and you're actually going to just probably just unloop all of these to start with. You can put some back on after we're done with this part. You got stuck. So this one right here, the second pin up, you're going to pull this whole ruffle drippy part. Can't do it. Can't get it out of there. So I'll go under, put my hook in that whole portion, and then I'll flip it over the top of the pin. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to skip this one where the mouth and the face is. I'll do the same thing with this one. And come up from the bottom. Make sure I get all of it, and not the top. Like that. And then all of that is going to go over the top of the pin. So we're going to skip this corner one for now, come to the back corner. It's a little easier on this side for me. And I go in through the top this time, grab all of it, flip it over, skip a pin, grab all the ones on this one, flip them over, and then our last one will be this corner over here. All the ruffle stuff, drippy stuff, drip, 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 over the top. So now it kind of looks like a little M. And the ones that I did not flip over, I'm going to take those little ties I put on and put those back underneath, just so they're not in my way. Like that. These ones you could technically take off right now if you wanted to. I'll just wait till we get closer to the end. So now, the next two rows are probably the part that I consider to be the difficult part. So hopefully, we'll fight through it together. Mainly it's because this is going to be a transition row, but we also need to, when we do the transition, they need to go underneath our little drip part in some spots. So first what we're going to do is all of the places that we flipped over, so like the corners here and that middle one, we're going to puff those with your next color down. So my next color is going to be purple. So right here I flipped them over. So what I'm going to do is go in through these 4 bands that are left on the pin, grab 2 bands, pull them up, put both ends on my hook, take the bands off the pin, and then what's on my hook will go back onto the pin. And we're just going to do that on the ones that we flipped over our drip. I got it. So here's another one. 2 bands up, both ends on the hook, bands off, and the ones that are on my hook go back on. Make sure you get all of them on. And up here, and the same thing for these 2 pins here in the front. Hopefully I'm just getting a little bit more, because it is kind of a pain to do it, but it's not super hard, so hopefully I'm not like psyching everybody out to like stop the video right here. But, so now what we'll do is we'll do those transition rows. So we need the transition bands. So it's 2 bands that are put together to make one band. So I usually just lay them on top of each other, and I'll grab like the back, my pink band. I'm going to grab that through the middle of the purple band. Then I'll grab the purple band through the middle of the pink band. And then just kind of once I have those, I fold them both together. So then I have a transition band. I'll show another way to make that in just a second. But what I do is I put it on my finger, and then depending on which way we're going with the color, if I'm going from the second color to the first color, I'll come down through the ruffle, or the drip. I lost it. Come down through the drip, and I'll grab, or kind of have the transition band positioned on my finger, so I can go down, grab the middle of the pink side, because that's the band that's going over, pull it up, and as I'm pulling up, I'll flip the other side on to the purple, pull this up, and put it up here. And then you can reposition this band so that it is more half and half, because that'll be, I'm going to use my color example here, but the purple I want near where I puffed with the purple, and then the pink will go with the other pink. When you're putting these on, the reason why it kind of gets to be a pain is because they come up at a weird angle, so it kind of eliminates a lot of the room in here to see what we're flipping, and that's kind of why I think this is the biggest pain about this, I guess. But we need to do that around. Another way to make the transition bands is to just put them on your loom. Doesn't matter really which color first. Just put them on the loom right after another. And then whatever band is on the bottom, you're going to pull that up through the band that's on the top and pull it back towards itself. And then it creates this little kind of triangle spot right here. Put your hook in through there, grab that other band, pull it back towards itself, and then if you take it off, you have the same thing that I created on my fingers. Half and half band. So now if we're going to go from the top, or the original color, to the new color, I'm going to come up through the bottom of the drip. So then I will come, grab my purple, because that's what I'm pulling through to my purple, pull it through, put the one end on the pin, and then bring the other one up and over. So we have half and half again. And it's hard to tell if you have half and half, but if you're close, then I think you'll be fine, because the ruffle hides, the drip hides quite a bit. Maybe it just wants to wear a dress with ruffles on it. So another transition band. And again, this time we're going from the second color to the first color. So we're going to come in through the top, grab the pink, try and get it more half and half, pull it through, put the one end on my pin, and bring the other one up. Another transition band. So this time we're coming from the first color to the second color. So I'll come up through the bottom, grab the purple band as much as I can in the middle, pull it through, and bring it on. And we're just going to keep doing that around. So this is the longest part and the most kind of involved, but makes an awesome little pattern. So again, I'm going through the top, On the ends it might be a little bit more difficult to get in through the top or the bottom, but just kind of do your best how you can. Just for space-wise of getting the hook in there. Few more to go for this row. Yep, sorry. One more. Okay, maybe it's just the practice I had, but that was definitely not as difficult as the first time that I did it, so definitely try again if you have problems. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll flip over like our second colors that we pulled up. We'll flip those over because they're easy. It's just the bottom 4 bands, which is the puffing band that we used to kind of change the color. So I'll just go around and I'll flip over those 4 underneath. All the way around. And yes, this is the second time I'm filming this part right here, since I had 2 bands left up here, as my camera was nice enough to stop in the middle of something, so I had to back up a little bit, but we're good. Flip over all those first, and then come back and we'll do the ones where we still have the drippy band underneath. So for those, the reason why it's hard and why I think it's a little bit tougher is because our bands that we put on, they're pulled underneath of our drip band, so now they come down at an angle, which leaves kind of a little less room to get in there and to figure out what 4 bands, which is the bottom 4 or the middle 4, depending on how you look at it, what 4 bands you need to pull up over the top of the pin. So you want to leave the 4 bands from the row we just did, but you need to get in there and find those middle 4. And with the bands coming down at an angle, I think that makes it a little bit tough. But take your time, be able to get them all. This will take me a moment. My bands got a little mixed up when I was flipping them back, so it's not quite the nice 4 all bunched together. But this is really the only reason why I think it's harder than other ones. So you should have your drip row left on the original color, and then the 4 bands above it, and then the 4 bands on the new color all the way around. So now, unfortunately, we need to do that row again. Otherwise the drip row just isn't very apparent. So it's just going to be the same thing. Make your transition band. This time though, make sure that when you're going around and you're going underneath that drip row, that you don't end up accidentally go in through the bands from before. If I put my hook in through here and pulled it up, that would not be the right spot. You want to make sure you're getting under just the drip row. And you can tell when you pull it up that you have just that row. So again, if I'm going from the new color to the old color, I'll go in through the top, grab my old color, if I can. Latch hook will probably work good for this because you'd have a bigger hook. Pull that up, put that on top, make another band. This is the last transition row, so we'll hang in there. So then if we're going from the old color to the new color, I want to come up through the bottom, grab the new color, pull it through, put one end on. It's good to try and get it half and half before you pull it through. And get the other pin. So I'll go through the top, just the drip band. Grab my old color, pull that up. And center. And we'll just keep doing that around. Take out some of these as I go, just because they're annoying me. Get on the hook. I don't know what it is lately, but I've been making a lot of designs and then going, but I could make it a little bit different, or a little bit different version, and then I was worried that if I do that, that people are like, oh, you're just, you know, working off your old stuff and you're not creating anything new. And most of the time it's just that I think that there's so many cute ways to do things that I want to share them. Or like for this case, if I make another popsicle, then it's because they're this one I think is a little bit difficult, and some people will not want to make it because of that. So I went all the way around again, and we'll do the same thing with the flipping. I'll start with the 4 bands from my new color, leaving the 4 bands. We'll do that all the way around. And then again, we'll go back in these ones with the ruffles. You could technically at this point flip over everything underneath besides the top 4, but I still like to go in, flip over that middle 4 first, and then we'll come back and do the drip row. Ruffle and drip will be like my end cap and cap band. But my intention is never to go back and redo things that I've already done. But a lot of times it's just to make things so that more people can make them or feel like there were a few people that like I made the Happy Pickle. They're like, oh, that's so simple, that's dumb. I was like, well, it kind of makes me sad, but you're entitled to your opinion, of course. But there are a lot of people who are just starting out with Happy Foods or doing more difficult things than just the bracelets or the simple charms. And for them, you know, that pickle was something that was hard. So I was definitely glad that I could make that and kind of give them an introduction into doing kind of the 3D figure stuff. So that's a little bit of something for everybody. So now once we have all those flipped over, now we can go back and flip over the last drip bands over the top of the pins. I'll unhook my bands here. So you should be left with alternating colors with 4 bands on the pins once you do that. All my other bands to go over too. There we go. Forward. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my little slip knot bands from everything, just so they're not in the way anymore. If you see here, I'm using my blue hook because I broke my pink one. It's very sad. And my green one, the stuff started coming off the hook, the finish, so then it was all sharp. So I tried basically sanding down the hook to get rid of the little flakes in the finish layer, but then I don't know if it's leaving weird marks on my bands that look kind of dirty, or if it's just the particular bands, because it's usually just on the white ones that it does that weird little mark. Alright, so all those are off. So now what we're going to do is you'll puff the remaining, in my case it's the pink ones, or the remaining first color that we have on there, you're going to puff them with the second color. So go ahead and take your hook, stick them in through those bands again, pull up 2 bands on the hook, pull them back on the pin. Like so. Push your bands down. Now what we'll do is a row around, so 2 bands in your second color all the way around. And I know I see this, I think it's just from the, because I had it tied with the slip knot, so I had to fix it from the stretching. I see it, we'll fix it. So like that. Then flip over the bottom 4 all the way around. Push your bands down. And we'll do another row. Same thing, 2 bands all the way around. Like that. Then flip over the bottom 4. I remember after I bought my hooks, like, kind of weird thing where it's like, I like colors, so I wanted one of every color, and I was like, that was really dumb, because, you know, they're supposed to not break ever, so. But now, otherwise, I'm glad I did, otherwise I would have been going back to a plastic hook, which I have a bunch of them because of they would break all the time. So now what we're going to do is reduce the bottom. So you push these down. We're going to reduce the 4 corners. And how we're going to do that, so you separate them out to get the top and bottom. You go in through the top bands, grab the bottom 2 bands, pull them up through the top ones, and then pull them back to the pin before. And then this should be able to come off. Do the same thing on this side. Go in through the top 2 bands, grab the bottom 2, pull them up, and pull them back. And these come off. I'll just pop these onto the other side. You can kind of loosen these up to help this little part go in, but it hides inside, so it's not a big deal. And the same thing on the other end. Separate out the top and the bottom 2 bands. Go in through the top 2, grab the bottom 2, pull them up through the top 2, and then bring them back towards the center. Those can come off. And the same thing over here. In through the top, grab the bottom, bring them back. And that can come off. And then we're going to reduce again the middle pins this time on both sides. So grab the top two bands on the middle, see where they're coming from. Mine are coming from the lower pin, so they're going to come up to the upper pin. And grab the next two, and these should go down to the lower. Same thing on the other side. Grab the top two bands, see where they're coming from. Mine are coming from the top, so they're going to come down to the bottom. And then these go up to the top. And then all the way around, you're going to flip over the bottom four bands that are left on the four pins. So flip those. So now, if you have a latch hook, you probably want to use that because we're going to be doing some for the closing of the popsicle. It's a little easier because we're going to create the popsicle stem on the stick, or the popsicle stick on the hook. So we're just going to gather up all four of these and then start pulling some bands through. And I'm just going to use my latch hook because it's a little easier. There is plenty of room on the Rainbow Loom hook because that's how I close this one. I'm just going to go in through all the bands that are left around. On there. Definitely looks a little different from the opaque bands to the jelly bands, but still adorable. So once you have all four on your hook, whatever color you want to use for your popsicle stick, you'll grab those. I use 3 bands, put them on the end of my hook, I doubled them, and then I pull all that through the bottom bands. So like that. And then again, 3 bands, doubled, pull them through, back on, and again, back on. Like I said, you can make this as long as you want. It's up to you. I'm going to do 4, just kind of like the littler popsicle sticks. So once I have 4, and I just took a band, pulled it through the bottom, did a slip knot, and then we'll hide the tail by weaving it in through the stem, preferably on the back side, but and just pull if you need. If it's long enough, you can pull it into the bottom of the popsicle. And, well, at least it's broken there. Oops. Go back in there. You didn't see anything. Alright, so you may need to go back around, fix some of the ruffle, just because of how we had it pulled and we were stretching it over so many pins. So just kind of go in and pull, like if this one's down, I pull this one back, or if it's pointed down, I pull it back towards me. If it's pointed up, or if it's on the upside, I'll go in and just kind of pull it back down. And you just do that all the way around until you get it to look a little better. It's just from the way the bands were pulled around. Hopefully you don't have any or too many noticeable transition issues between like our first row. If you do, just go in and kind of tuck them in. But super cute popsicle. I love it. So there also is a difference you can tell between the two different bandings of using the jelly bands or the opaque bands, so you can kind of decide which way you prefer to do it. It is the same exact banding, so you just have to, I think they both look good, but they definitely have a little bit different of appearance, I can tell. And that's usually why I try and make designs in more than one band type, because you never know what they're going to look like until you've used them. But I hope that you like your popsicle, and I will work on making one that's a little bit simpler so that if anybody's having trouble, they can still make one, but it'll just be a little bit different. They won't quite have the drip row or the ruffle row. I just can't quite get that right. So, but I hope that you enjoy these. I think they're super cute. If you make some of these, I would love it if you would share these with me on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook, which is either feelinspiffy or Crafting Fantastic. They both find me, as far as I know, and as far as I've seen. And then there are links underneath the videos too, if you want to check those out for where you find those. And of course, it'd be awesome if you subscribe to my channel so that you can see when I come out with new fabulous things. I'm super stoked about being able to share, and I'm hoping that you still enjoy what I'm sharing. But I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I definitely appreciate it, and I will have more for you soon.